What's up, otakus? You know, I know I told you I wouldn't. It was going to be a modest haul. I was just going to hit the 50-cent bins this week, but we did the exact opposite of what we wanted to do, and yeah, we spent a lot. Um, so this week is kind of weird. Uh, First off, um, we're over budget this week. It's the first time this summer I've been over budget, but part of it has to do with the commission work for my comic book sketch cover that Alexandra Bustos is working on for me. She's an artist up in, well, you know her. She's a member of the comic book community. Uh, she's a friend of our channel, and I'm going up there to see her. I'm going up to Vancouver, BC, to see her, support her for her, you know, comic book show there locally, where she's an artist in the artist alley. So yeah, I mean, um, I definitely am looking forward to that book. But yeah, we paid for that book, and so we were kind of, not that it took up the entire budget, but we were already kind of in the hole for budget this week, and we were in a good position, like, because I want to take a substantial amount of money to Vancouver. And for those of you who were watching the live stream last night, you'll there's a big update, and I'm going to get to the update in a minute. But for those of you watching last night, you will have heard my rant, and I've since deleted that video because I just figured, I just didn't need to bring negative energy to that Comic-Con. But we'll kind of go over. I do want to go over why we've chosen not to attend. Well, not attend, but like take plans have changed. The strategy and the plans have changed from what they were previously. And we'll get to that. I'll get to that toward the end. So there's been a plan of change, change of plans, and because of that, that impacted what we did today. Rather than be conservative, I just went to go pick up the books that I was kind of like intent on picking up locally. And I just, instead of like spacing it out, I just went and picked up pretty much everything I've been kind of like wanting to pick up. And we didn't, like, there was no, usually I'm very disciplined on the haul. Today, discipline was just out the door. I spent a lot of time at Comics the Gathering initially, and then I had my Target books at the last two places. So we'll go over. So basically, I hit up three shops. I hit up Comics the Gathering because they had a bunch of good stuff. I still couldn't pick it all up. I had to leave a bunch there. And I'm hoping I find those books up in Vancouver. I'm not going to travel back down there to get those books. I figure 2 trips is enough, and we did pick up some nice ones. But we went to Comics the Gathering first, spent about $22, and then and it kept escalating. Then we went to Stargazer Comics, and we spent $33 there on 2 books. So what, $22 on 4 books, $33 on 2 books. Then we we hit up 4 places. Then we went to Action City Comics, picked up 2 books. and spent $44 on 2 books. Hey, Kenneth, what's up? Which is $44 on 2 books. That I rarely do. You know, like I rarely spend like $20 on a book. But we did that today. And I'll show you what we picked up. And then the final, I just stopped in Half Price Books. I wasn't thinking to pick up anything. But then there was a book. I'd previously run into it, and then I took another look at it. And I was like, you know, this is a book I really want. And it's kind of a spec buy on my part, but I figure it's also a book. I mean, it's a signature book, so I figured, you know, we got it at a good price. There's a good deal of like spec value associated with it. So anyway, 9 books for $110. This is like the worst value haul ever. So, you know, normally I like take pride in the fact that I pick up a lot of value and stuff, but it was just one of those situations. Again, our plans changed for Vancouver, and we'll cover that at the end. And that change of strategy led to me spending more today than I would normally have. And, you know, we did pick up a lot of good stuff. I mean, everything I picked up here today is, you know, PC material. It's all going into the PC, except one book. I'd say one book is the exception, where it probably, you know, maybe I'll sell it or trade for it or something. But I just figure getting it now, I think it has a lot of spec potential, and so I just picked it up. I know down the road I could probably sell it for more, but we'll get to that when we do. All right. So, let's just start it off. The first book we got was a book I have been wanting for a long, long time, and we ran into it today. And I just had to have it. It's just a gorgeous, beautiful cover. It is Action Comics 1046, and it's the Artgerm variant of Supergirl. This is the swimsuit variant, and man, is that an incredible cover. So this was just straight up cover by, just eye candy. I mean, I have another Artgerm Supergirl cover, and I'm just in love with that one. This one is, you know, it's the same kind of vibes. You just like, yeah, it's just a cover that you have to have in your collection. So that was like an $8 book right there. So, you know, again, I was just kind of unrestrained today. I was just like, well, I did leave a lot of books at comics because we had amassed a huge pile, and I just focused on really the ones that if I didn't pick it up today, I probably wouldn't come back. You know, like I would probably. So if I didn't pick it up today, I would come back for it, and I didn't want to go back. So I just got all the stuff that I knew, like I need to get this in my collection today or rather than tomorrow, and this is one of those books. This was the book we picked up at Half Price Books, again, the spec book. And it's because like James Gunn was just like, had read this book and was just, you know, gushing about how like it was one of the best stories he'd ever read. And so what we picked up was Strange Adventures #1. As you can see, it's a signed copy. I mean, it's not all that clear. There's all this like graffiti there on it. But yeah, a signed copy by Tom King. It's a Midtown Comics signed copy, certificate of authenticity there. We picked this up for $10. And I figured, you know, signed book, great cover. It's a #1 issue. And again, I think there's a lot of spec value on this one. Yeah, just a little bit of spec on my part. I think Adam Strange is going to be a part of whatever James Gunn is going to introduce. I'm sure he's going to turn up. This next one was just, I recently picked up the newsstand on this, and I ran into this, and I just thought, it's just one of those variants that I want to complete. Like, there's about 12 variants associated with this, a lot of different prints. But this is like this is like a 4th print or 3rd print or something. And it's the New York Post exclusive. So got this for $3. Kind of paid what it's worth. It's a really clean copy, so it has that working for it. So that was another book we picked up. Only two Jim Lee books on this haul, and that one I technically, I guess, would count it as part of the count, and technically not. Like, I do count variant covers, but I don't count well, I guess I do. I should. So 2 more added to the count. What are we at right now? I'm just gonna check the list. It's just always tough. It's like when we add so I guess I'll make a distinction. The newsstand is the direct. If I have a direct and newsstand, I count those as one, and then these other reprints and stuff, I guess I have to count them. So we've added 373 and 374. This is our 374th Jim Lee book. Now, this is a book I've always been wanting to add. It's just such a great cover of this duo. And I always run into it for $10 though. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay $10 for, but this one was though $10, but it was 30% off. So we got it for $7. And I figure, yeah, okay, for $7, I'll pick it up. But it's this really thick issue here. Again, Detective Comics 1027, and it's just it's the brand. It's Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Alex Sinclair, and just a gorgeous cover there on Detective Comics 1027. So we picked that one up. Again, paid $7 for it. I was just kind of unrestrained in terms of holding back, oh, we shouldn't pick this up, it's too much. I didn't have that filter today. I just wanted to get these books. Now there's probably a chance I could probably run into these and get them discount at Vancouver, but then there's the off chance I might not. So I just wanted to get everything out and kind of have a fresh slate for what we run into in Vancouver. Now this one we got for $2, and this is Neil Adams cover. It's a self homage to, I think it's World's Finest. It's a World's Finest cover. I mean, you'll know what cover I'm talking about when you see it, but it's just a real nice. It's a sort of a humorous spin on that cover. And it's Superman, Wonder Woman, the Neil Adams variant, and it's exactly the same pose with Superman and Batman, but in this case, it's Wonder Woman and Superman. Wonder Woman in the place of Superman, and Superman in the place of Batman on that original cover. And it's the same. She's saying pretty much what Superman's saying. I'm about to commit my first crime, and you, Superman, which is different. And you, Batman, is in the original, are about to be the victim. And it's sort of a modern take on it. You can see the cityscape and all that. So yeah, it's this was just when I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is definitely coming home with me. There's a bunch of Neil Adams variants and that are homages during this period, and I want to pick them. I want to try to pick them all up um, because again, they're just kind of like, he's doing a modern take on a classic cover on his own classic covers. So he's doing his own modern take on a classic cover, and like this one, they're just really, really. It just feels full circle when you have the original, which I do, and then this one. So that was just a fun one. All right, now we're getting into sort of the bigger books, and I want to keep the momentum going with the Neil Adams pickups. So we picked up that one, which is an homage. This is an original. It's Superman 213, and it's just another beautiful Neil Adams Superman cover. Love this one. Yeah, I need to get more bags and boards because I'm starting to bag and board these like clear backing boarded Mylars, and it defeats the purpose of having a clear backing board when you have two in there. So I need to order some more, which we'll probably do like next week, or just right ahead of when we head up to Vancouver. This way, when I get back from Vancouver, it'll arrive and we'll be able, or yeah, we'll just probably place an order next week because I promise you, next Friday is going to be a very meager haul. We're going to pretty much just not spend only. We're only going to go to Mill Geek, the 50-cent bins, or maybe yeah, we're just gonna hit the 50-cent bins at Mill Geek. There's really no other bargain bin around me, and we'll just pick up stuff there ahead of Vancouver. But again, with I'm not going to spend a lot at the 50-cent bin. We're just going to pick up $5-10 at most. So it'll be very meager next week. But yeah, this is just man. I put the grade on this one because I picked this up for so it was priced at $15. I negotiated with this other book, and I was able to get it down like $5. So I guess if I apply it to this book, we picked up for $10. Priced at 15, got it down to 10, and I'd grade it at like a 4.0. Yeah. Like a 4.0, maybe 3.5 or 4.0 in that range. Just beautiful cover. All right, this next one is I think I talked about this last week. It's one we looked at, and I felt like with a press, it could be high grade, and I still think that. It does have a little bit of a quarter issue, but again, with the press, even with that, we're looking at least what we're hoping is to get an 8.5. Right now, the guy has it at a 7.5. I'd put it around a 7 as well, but with a nice press. It's already a clean book. It just needs a really solid press. I think we could press out that little corner area. And we're talking like, could be a 9.0 even. Like we're just talking a couple of spine breaking ticks. But we picked up a beautiful Frank Miller cover. Probably his best electric cover in this run. Well, actually, I take that back. There's one. I have another cover, which I think is the best, but this is probably what most people would consider his most iconic cover of Elektra, and that is Daredevil 179. Got the newsstand version. Yeah, we paid $20 for this one. And, not that I overpaid. I mean, you could technically say like this is probably like closer to $15 book than it is a $20, $25 or $20 book. But again, I think it has a lot of potential with a really clean press. Like you're not going to be able to see the issues with this book. They're just kind of like indents and stuff that don't break color. There's a little bit of a corner area that it's kind of crunched. You can kind of see like a spine tick there, but I mean, as long as you got that pressed out nice and sharp, it looked good. Again, just a couple spine ticks along the spine. Overall, just a beautiful book for newsstand copies. So, yeah, I mean, what more can you say about this cover? It's just you got a sigh through Daredevil's mask, and you got a close up of Elektra. So, yeah, that was a great pickup. All right, got two more books. I mean, this technically could have been the book of the haul. And again, I had to double back and board it. Well, I just revealed it. We have Uncanny X-Men 138. And it's the issues, Scott Summers leaves the team. He is distraught over the death of, his love, Jean Grey. And this is like a very pivotal moment for the X-Men. And what we have here, again, it's in the backdrop of this book. So I know it looks like a rough edge, but that's that other book. I want to say this is a VF copy. Yeah, it's a solid VF copy. And again, with the press, it could be even better. But it definitely needs a press. There's some stress lines here at the top. It's like they break color a little bit, but again, if you were to press it out and it would be smooth, it would just present like a high grade book. So yeah, this was a great pick. We picked this up for $20 as well. And I thought that was a really great deal. Like these two, these two books for $20 each, that's kind of what you would expect to pay at a show even. Maybe you'd get down a little bit, but I figure, pick them up right now. And you can worry about other stuff when you have the budget. These are two books that I would have picked up in Vancouver and I ran across them. I don't know how much of a better deal I would have gotten, but I do know that, this is a newsstand. Again, the issues with the book, they're all pressable. So I just dropped it. I just dropped the money to pick them up. And I'm glad I did. I know this isn't like a value haul, but the whole point of my summer budget and this summer was to pick up like bigger books and books that I've been meaning to add to my collection. And, these are shades of last summer. Like, I picked up a Death of Elektra last year. And I picked up, a couple big books on the X-Men side, but this is another big one that we've been meaning to add for a long time. I just love this cover by Byrne too. It's just so iconic. All right. This is the book of the haul. And really, this is the book of the haul because it marks a closure to something I've been meaning to do since like 1986, which is when this came out. Or was it 87? I want to say 87, 86 or 87. And I've got the first print, number one of Dark Knight Returns in an 8.5. I got it slabbed up here. I know you can't see it very well. Maybe I'll just bring it down for you to get a closer look. yeah, it's a really nice copy. This is one of the wall books, and I think I talked about it a while back. It was a wall book that I bought for like $20 at the time, which was a lot of money for me on one book. Um, but man, did I cherish that book because I knew it was just like for me one of the best books, my favorite books of all time. And we only had that number one issue. I didn't pick up. Well, I had the book. The what prompted me to get that book was I had bought issue number two, and I started this run by reading issue number two first. I never knew what one was. But after reading this, I went and like checked out the graphic novel, the trade paperback, um, and read that thing to, you know, I just read it like about 100 million times. Um, Actually, I had a trade paperback copy. I take that back. I didn't have it from the library. I had a trade paperback copy that I just read till it like became tattered. And I, at some point, lost my. And this book too, I had read, so it wasn't like mint. I tried to do my best to keep it, but I had read this before getting the trade paperback several times. So it had its issues, but it was still a clean copy, and it was a first print. But I don't know what happened to this book. It's not in my collection anymore, and luckily the number one remained in my collection. So when we got back into collecting, I ran into this book at Half Price Books, first print. We got it really cheap. I think I got this for like $10 or something. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Oh no, I got it for half a cover, which was like $1.90 something. And I checked; it was a first print, so I was just on cloud nine when I got this really clean copy. And then we recently picked up issue 3 at Half Price Books, also for half a cover. But this one has like a couple creases in it on the cardstock, so nothing terrible though. It doesn't really like break color or anything. It's just a light, mild crease. You can barely see it, but it's there. And so I only had one more issue to go, and this is really my favorite cover. I mean, the one's a great cover, don't get me wrong, but this is my favorite cover of the 4 original volume covers, and it's because it features the battle. It features the battle. And this is a great Frank Miller cover here. And I picked this up today for $20, and it's a really clean copy. It's a near mint copy, and so I didn't want to like go through the motions and like negotiate and haggle to get like because this is probably going to sell for 20 wherever I go. And even if we do haggle and negotiate, we're talking about like maybe $15. Maybe someone sells something like discounted. It's not going to be high grade in good condition. So I mean, this is technically what I would consider slabbing. Like I would consider slabbing this entire series because these two are like really high grade. I mean, this one actually is like 8.5. It's got the same issue that book has. There's just a little corner. It's like a production issue thing. And I would imagine the back of this also maybe has its same issue. So, I mean, but still, like as clean as it is, it comes out 8.5 or 9.0 or better. So, yeah, this is our book of the haul. And I finally have the entire like original cover volume. I'd never owned the original cover volume on this. This is a beloved comic book from my youth. It's what really ignited the passion for comic books, because it was just such a great story and it was such a great take on on these characters. One thing I didn't like about Frank Miller's, because he makes Superman, he gives a political spin, like commentary on what Superman becomes. Superman becomes like just an agent of the United States. He fights wars for the United States. They make him, he becomes kind of disillusioned, and he kind of adopts this America First kind of mentality, and then he kind of justifies what he does as sort of the greater good for his nation, which is like so not what Superman is, and I hated that this aspect of Frank Miller's storytelling. Like, he made Superman like a douchebag, and he made him sort of, compromise on the principles that made him a hero. And he was kind of like keeping an eye on Batman. Even though they're friends, he was keeping an eye on him, and doing that kind of spying on Gotham, and being this sort of like watch guard for the activities of Batman. And to be honest, like, I think Superman was a beloved character, and then Frank Miller does this to his character, and then all of a sudden you just start seeing like DC Comics, comic books in general, kind of adopt this, like, yeah, Superman's kind of like, he's all powerful, he's not that interesting, he's kind of a, there's nothing compelling, and you just start to see this tone shift in comic books to where Batman is now like the guy we want to root for, the guy with the real sort of, he's the more real character. And like, you just saw this fundamental shift in DC from Superman being the flagship character to now Batman carrying the company. And that has somewhat continued even to this day. Because, like the Batman movies, how many countless Batman movies have we seen compared to Superman movies? And Superman's kind of had, this book kind of triggered like a PR problem. This came out, and then, John Byrne was trying to reimagine Superman, and like fans and people just weren't into it. Which is, again, I think Frank Miller did almost influenced people's views to such a great degree that it was it really needed, like, John Byrne couldn't fix it, right? It was something like, I think John Byrne had probably, like, he was coming in, he wanted to get a modern, fresh take on Superman, get everybody on board, and it didn't really take. And then they went and did the worst. Not the worst, but they went in to make kind of matters worse. They went and killed him. They killed him off eventually. Then they brought him back, I think in hopes to like show people, hey, you should be focused on Superman. He's our ultimate hero. So yeah, with the death of Superman, he kind of gained his mojo back, but I still think like the harm done by his image in this book was almost, like, not to say it was irreparable, but it did a lot of damage to the image. But now what I'm hoping, again, with Gunn series, and of course DC's, we're at a point where Superman's now back on top. He's at and they pair him with Batman so that they're not these standalone, somewhat rival type characters. Although we did have a Justice League movie that had them fighting like this again. But yeah, ultimately what DC needs is Superman and Batman to be healthy and that fans have positive images of both characters, and that's not always easy with two guys you're trying to like reinvent every issue, right? You're trying to give fans something new because their two characters span almost the history of comics. So, or I should say superhero comics, right? It spans the history of superhero comics. So it's a hard task to, like make these guys just lovable 24/7, 365 days a year. You don't need to convince me. I love both characters. I mean, unless that's the thing. Like, you got to protect the IP. And when Frank Miller did what he did to Superman in this series, it was just like, man, like that was one. I mean, it was still a great, finale. Like a final battle between Batman and Superman. That's kind of what you want to see. And they did make Superman kind of like, this antagonist to the world that the future world that Miller created here. But that didn't, like, again, I was kind of opposed to this narrative, but it worked. This book is still, again, one of my favorites, even though I do have an issue with them making the Superman like that, or Frank making Superman like that. But it is what it is. I wouldn't change it. I just wish, what I would change is how much people's perception of Superman was influenced by this. And that speaks to the reach of this book. Like, every comic book fan read this book. Everybody if you're into comic books, you read this book. It obviously shapes your view of their relationship, who the characters are. I mean, Batman to this day hasn't really changed much from this. Now, thank goodness no one associates Superman's character that way. But in terms of Batman, like, everybody, what was formed here with the real dark demon sort of like inner struggle to deal with that very dark history in his life, like that's what is really the essence of the character. And Miller was just brilliant at really amplifying what made Batman a great character. Now, he did it at the expense of Superman, but I think that period where we're talking about, like, the mid to late 80s, it was just a mad Batman period anyway. So it was like, yeah, I don't think Superman could have done anything to have slowed down the momentum of the Batman train. The Batman mobile train was just going full steam ahead, and Superman was sort of laid to the wayside because of Batman's popularity. All right. So again, yesterday I put out a video. I was kind of hopped on, and my initial plan for West Coast Comic Con in Vancouver, BC, August 25th, Sunday. Our initial plan was to take $1,000 up there US, exchange it, which would have been $1,300, close to $1,400 Canadian dollars, and spend all of it at the show. Just like pick up all the big books we're looking for, and come back with this big, huge stack of books, and all would be good, right? So we were going to save, put all of our budget and money, save it, and take it all in one big wad or haul, and just waste it in Canada. Just spend it all and just come back with a bunch of books, right? That was the plan. Well, I've definitely am not going to do that, and I'm going to share why. I kind of whoops. What am I doing here? I'm going to kind of share why I decided against it. And it's kind of what I covered in the video yesterday. But the reason I deleted the video is because I was kind of ranting and being negative about this Comic-Con, and I didn't mean to do that. And I think it's going to be a great Comic-Con. So I just deleted it because I was being a little too negative about this Comic-Con. So this is where we're going.
Hey everyone, this is Alex, and this is my first walking tour / vlog video for the channel, and I'm doing a vlog for West Coast Comic-Con 2023. I'm using my phone camera here, so the quality is
I'm not gonna like show you the entire video, but what we are gonna like
downwards a little bit, just because I didn't want to try to avoid recording people's faces.
So here's an example.
This comic book convention is my first time coming here, but it's actually a lot bigger than I expected.
Turn the audio off. You don't need to hear the audio. So again, there's a lot of comic books there, but what concerned me was there's just not a lot of quality. I mean, of this wall here, I would consider picking up First Electra 310, but that's not on our want list. That's not on our want list. And I'll just go back. Let's see here. Wait, this is not the video I want to show. This guy is like kind of all over with his video here. West Coast Comic-Con, Vancouver. Just bear with me a little bit. Yeah, this is the better video. I was just watching this video just to kind of get a sense of what the con was like. And I was a little disappointed by the presence here. Like, for example, we're going to look at this guy's wall. I mean, he looks like he has a lot of nice books, you know, but I'm looking at this wall and I'm realizing there's nothing on this wall that I would like. Nothing. And I'm looking here at a bunch of Golden Age books, but nothing on our want list. So, and then we continue to go down. This guy, that guy's looking at a First Wolverine. Yeah, you know, like there could be some good stuff in these boxes, yeah, right? Anyway, and you guys can kind of see what's getting previewed on the walls here. Here's a vendor coming up. These are Canadian comics, and I just thought, okay, that's cool. I'd probably spend some money there, but this guy doesn't have wall books up. It's just, you know, it just says Canadian comics. So there's just, and then there's a lot of vendors here that aren't in like selling books or selling like toys, Funkos, and just a bunch of stuff I'm not into. Meager wall here. I mean, nothing. It's just absolutely like there's nothing there that I want. And it just really doesn't get any better. You know, that first guy we saw is really, he has really the best wall, and there's just nothing there I wanted. Here, kind of same deal. You've got, you got like some Silver Age books, nothing big. I know there's a Dave Stevens book there, but that was last year, not this year. So, I mean, that's probably going to be, there's a lot of stuff to dig for in this. But again, in terms of, you know, our plan was to pick up some big books, and that means they would have the books I'm looking for, like First Joker. I'm sorry, not First Joker. The Joker cover, the Neil Adams Joker cover. Like on this wall, there's nothing here that screams "buy me" on that wall. So would probably spend time digging in the boxes, right? And it's like every vendor here. I went through this entire video, the guy walking around, and literally every vendor was just kind of like a disappointing. Like, I already have that book. You know, just a bunch of that kind of stuff. So this is what prompted me. I was like, man, I'm not going to take $1,000 up here and try to spend it all, or come back with like a bunch of books and like zero money and zero the wantless books. Here's a decent wall, right? Of these books, maybe first Boba Fett, maybe this first Teen Titans, New Teen Titans, first Deathstroke, the Venom cover. Those are nice books, but I can get those books without having to take $1,000 up there, right? Like I can probably pick up all of those books with like $300 or so. So, it's really forced me to kind of reevaluate like what I want to spend at this con. Because again, if the books aren't there, if the books I want aren't there, there's no need for me to take so much money. You know, like we've got, anyway, let me go back to that one. Out of these books, Wolverine 1, possibly, but it's also right now like one of the highest priced books. I mean, it's gonna fall. I mean, I probably want to pick that up down the road, not now. It's just so hot right now. She-Hulk, I'd probably pick up a first She-Hulk, but I mean, that again isn't a book I really want. I'd rather pick up like Burns' run on She-Hulk rather than the original. I'd want to pick up these Wonder Womans down here. That looks promising. But again, I wouldn't need to take up so much money to pick those books up. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to like take you through this. I'm basically, you know, saying the same thing over. Sell their collection off. Maybe some people who actually have comic book shops, like this one looks like it's a comic book shop, and they're just maybe discounting. That doesn't really look like. Again, there's not a lot of stuff here on this wall that looks like it's a bargain. Everything looks like it's priced out. Like, here's a GI Joe that I'd want, and this giant size X-Men's like $4,000. I'm not coming home with that, right? So, just based on the data here, I'm led to believe. Again, there's a first GI Joe, first Transformers. Those are books I'd pick up. But I guess my point is, like, I was just having different expectations for Vancouver. I thought it would be a lot better than what I'm seeing here. Now, hopefully, there's an upgrade from last year to this year, because I know I saw the table prices, and the table prices they're pretty steep. So, you know, it's going to keep your, like, low-end collectors away and kind of reserve it to like the people with the big books and the who want to move stuff. So that's a good sign, but we'll just have to see. But again, based on last year's wall books and vendors and inventory, I think I'd be better off not taking so much money and saving it till September for Grit City, because Grit City is a way better show than this. Grit City is way better than this. It's bigger in terms of floor space, more vendors, more books, great deals at Grit City. I know that firsthand. So yeah, I mean, I've just recalibrated what I want to spend in Vancouver, and I'm only going to take up $300 US. I'm going to exchange 300. It works out to like 440 or something like that. So that's what we're going to spend in Vancouver. And I don't mind spending all the 400, because even if let's say we run into a first G.I. Joe and a first off, I can buy a first G.I. Joe right now for under $100. It's sitting at, I mean, it's not the best grade, but again, it's in a decent grade. I think they had it for like 70 some bucks. And I don't mind for that price, I don't mind picking up a mid-grade book. And then Transformers, that's sort of a bigger book, but I have one sitting here locally too, 125. But what we want is like newsstand versions of this, kind of in a higher grade, and we're looking to pick each one up. Like 150 is about as high as I want to go for a raw copy for either of them. Of course, we want to get that down lower. But if I see like a 250 price or two, I'm just gonna say, hey, I'll give you 150 for it if it's in like high grade or at least a VF, right? VF copy. 150 for VF is kind of what I'm looking at. And if they don't want to sell it at that price, or if they again, if I can't find it for that price, I don't feel pressured to have to buy those at the show. I'll focus my energies on different stuff. So yeah, it's just changed the calculus. I'm not gonna go crazy in Vancouver now. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a modest $300 up there, spend it all. I'm sure we'll still pick up big books, but now I'm focusing on like the bins. This place has a lot of bins. So rather than wall books, because $300 is not going to get you much value off a wall. If I see something on the wall, I'll get it, and maybe I'll regret having taken 3. Maybe I'll run into the Neil Adams Joker cover. I doubt it. Not the way this show's looking. But if I do, and it's there for like 300 or like 400 Canadian dollars, we'll just get that book and we'll bring that one back. Obviously, we want to get a good grade and value of it, but that's kind of like the bandwidth. Like, there's still like, if I run into a big book that's on my list, we'll pick that up because $300 is kind of within that range to do it. But yeah, I mean, as of now, this is just not promising. I mean, I'd rather pick up. There's stuff online that is on my want list that I can pick up. So if I take $1,000 up there and feel forced to spend it all, or like bring a bunch of Canadian dollars back and do that whole rigmarole of like exchanging it back to US dollars, just don't want to deal with it. Again, $300 feels like a good enough budget to go there, have fun, dig, and pick up a lot of books. We're kind of in like a lot of book mode rather than check off want list mode, right? Like that's how it's changed. So yeah, we're gonna try to pick up a lot of books versus trying to pick up the big ones that we want. And we're still gonna focus on the big ones. It's just now we're gonna use multi-channels, and I think right now after the show, I'll be looking online for some of them, and hopefully we'll also have some enough saved up to maybe find them at. So I mean, online books are going to always be there. I don't feel FOMO when I look online anymore. The books that I want to add to my collection, they're always there. It's just, are they there at the price I want? So I guess how, Vancouver, we kind of like planned Vancouver being this like mecca where I pick up the books. No, I'm going to shift that idea to now Grit City Comic Con, which is in like late September, October. Hopefully Namanyang is in Washington at that time. We can kind of do the same thing we did last year. I do not want to strain him though, because he's dealing with some health issues. But if he feels up to it, we'll go. If he's not, that's fine. But kind of do what we did last year at Grit City. But last year I took only $60 up to Grit City with me, and we picked up nothing but dollar books, which was great. I still picked up a lot of stuff that I still have. But this year it's going to be different. I'm going to basically take up what I've saved over the course of the summer, which should be like over $1,000. Don't have to do any exchange rate stuff here. It's a local show. I'll just take all that money to that show and try to wrap up my wish list, want list. Hey, what's up, Miss So? Thanks for joining. So yeah, my plans for Vancouver have changed a little bit, not all that much. We're still going up there. We're just not going to spend the $1,000 that we're planning to spend. We're going to reserve now the majority of save the majority of the budget for Grit City Comic Con in Tacoma later this fall, which will be after the summer. And then really just take $300 up to Vancouver. That'll be enough to again, it's like 450 Canadian dollars. Enough to have fun up there, enough to pick up, just pick up all the books that we run into that we want to add to the collection. So Ball and Wonder Woman, Byrne, Action Comics, Byrne, Fantastic Four, all those things that kind of are holes in our current thing, and try to just focus on that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that up here. And try to get the best deals on them. We're looking at like $2 to $3 on those books. If we find them for $1, even better. If we can get like a bulk deal, I'll just take all these Wonder Womans. What do you want to give them for? Try to get them for $1 or get them down to $1 for it. But I'm already seeing a lot of deals like 15 for 25, right? Like that's like not quite $1, but it's not quite $2 either, so it's kind of there. So I figure if you get 50 books, they might go what is it? Instead of 30, they might go 25. And in that sense, sorry, you'd be 15, so that's 30. Yeah, you could probably work it out to either 25 or $20 rather than $30 for 50. 30 for 50, you could probably do 20 for 50 or 25 for 50, which is right around $2. That's not bad. But yeah, we'll have to see what's in there. I was expecting to just run around, pick up big books, and then dig. This is going to be a situation where I just probably do the same thing, but in reality, we're just going to be focused on digging, because I don't think there's again, just based on the data from last year, obviously a lot's changed. I think there is a little bit more focus on Silver Age DC, so maybe that'll be more prevalent on the walls and stuff. But even if it is more prevalent, it's not like they're big books, right? So unless you're getting into the golden age. The Silver Age DC is still relatively affordable, so it should be fun. Yeah, but it's that's what prompted me to just go out and not be so, because since we're not having to save, and since we already know there are like books locally that we wanted, we kind of just went out and picked up those books. We picked up, like, this is the book, was priced at $20, and I left it there because I wanted to save for Vancouver and then come down potentially with this book and all that. But now that we're not, now that saving for that show seems rather, I don't know, there's just no point to that. I just went out and got it. And we're still saving, but I think we're saving now looking long term for the fall show rather than this summer show. And I feel good about it. So, we're still taking a $300 to Vancouver. We're still going to have fun, but I think the expectations are a little tempered now with this show, and which is fine. It's I think tempering the expectations is probably better, because we would have run into a situation where we took all this money up to Vancouver, and I'm sure I would have spent a lot of it on stuff that wasn't on the list, and would have kind of ruined the summer plans. Whereas now the summer plans would just change. It hasn't been ruined. I just, with more data and more information, now I can make sort of the better decisions. We didn't have a lot of transparency on what to expect and all that, but I kind of have a good idea what this show will have, and I think it's going to have a lot of this same stuff, like the Marvel stuff, the Silver Age Marvel keys that everybody's focused. It's going to be probably a lot of Doom, maybe some Superman stuff, since Superman's really the next thing on the docket in terms of pop culture, movies, and all that. So, again, it's not curbing my enthusiasm for Vancouver, but it's definitely constrained it a little bit, because we were hoping to get those big books off my want list, but I think that's likely not going to happen. And so now there's the potential we might get those books via online as an option, or if we can't get the price we want online, and I'm always wary about getting big books online because you just never know what you're going to get at the end of the day. But again, saving the majority, the chunk of the budget for Grit City in October. That is the plan now. So, yeah, big shift in plans. I'd been kind of hyping up West Coast Comic Con, and now we're kind of shifting the focus to the local show, Grit City. And I'm sure Grit City is going to be great. I already know what to expect. It's in the same location. I'm just going to share how different Grit City looks from what we just saw. So this is Grit City. It looks like, whoa, let's see the guests here. Lieber. Was this from last year? No, this is same. Okay, 2024. Let's take a look. When is it? It's going to be November 9th. Oh, it's really late. November. That's a ways away too. Well, more more Kit. Wow, Kit's gonna be there. I gotta take a photo with Kit. Come on. Gotta be kidding me. All right, so we're gonna go to this and we're gonna buy a bunch of comic books here. I think overall we're definitely gonna find most of the books on our list. It's just you just got a better selection here. So it really comes down to selection. Oh, sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen. Hello. Here we go. So yeah, this kind of gives you the vibe of this versus, here's West Coast Avengers booth here. We got some books from him last year. Illa Comics is there. You're just gonna get the big boy books at this show. To get the big boy books, you have to get the big boy vendors. And the big boy vendors and the small boy vendors are all kind of selling stuff here, and they got it discounted. They want to move it, so it's great. It's a great opportunity. To be honest, I would rather than take all this money and go to Vancouver and do it. I think it's, again, that focus has shifted. So we're gonna, not to say we're still gonna, because I know we're gonna pick up a lot of good stuff in Vancouver. We're still taking $300. Maybe I'll take $400. Who knows? Just how I'm feeling. But I do want to be mindful of whatever we take up there and spend up there is less we have for Grit City. So I think Grit City is where we kind of want to shift the budget, the focus, and yeah, it'll just give me a little bit more time to, because November, it's August now. We're really talking about September, October, and that's it. We're there. So it's in a matter of like 3 months, this thing will be ready to go. So that is the plan. Yeah, it's just a different. Yeah, I mean that. I'm a little disappointed that. I guess I was just expecting more, so I just I built up an expectation for Vancouver that I probably shouldn't have. Who knew that Tacoma would have had a better venue and location for stuff like this than Vancouver. Technically, I believe Vancouver is like a bigger city than Tacoma. Well, maybe not. I mean, Tacoma's a pretty big city too. But yeah, I mean, seeing that video really opened up my eyes to like what Vancouver was. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's the kind of show Vancouver is. So again, just tempering the expectation, and I guess understanding what we're getting into a little better helps us to plan better. And that's all this is. So again, I wouldn't have normally spent $110 on 9 books. I normally wouldn't have done that, but these were all books I wanted, and they were in the grade and condition. The condition and the price I wanted, essentially. So I just picked up sort of a lot of the mid-tier books. That's a beautiful book right there. $10. This is just great. That's great. I mean, just signed book. I figured this is like a spec book. It's a signed book, Tom King's signature book. Potential for being a big book down the road. And again, I've now completed The Dark Knight Returns run, the series, 4 books now, all first prints in my collections. And picked up a couple Jim Lee books, a couple Neil Adams books. All in all, it was a great haul. I feel better about this because, I was really like trying to be restrained and like not spend and take up all this money up to Vancouver. Well, now that I don't have to do that, I can kind of like, I'm not going to spend crazy next week or the week after and do all that, but I am, still gives me the same game plan in terms of saving. That those savings are just going to go toward something else down the road, and we're going to take a more modest budget to Vancouver. So it doesn't really change the overall game plan. It's just kind of shifting the resources and the timeline. So that's important. It's important. I did a lot of like recon locally, and now I didn't feel like I needed to wait for those books because I was like, oh, let's at least wait till we got back from Vancouver. Now, no, I can now just get those books. Maybe we would have found them cheaper in Vancouver. No big deal. We probably paid close to book value for most of these, right? No big deal. Like this one, books at $25, but we got it for $20. Like no big deal. Some of these, that's a $2 book there. Again, I just feel like there's some value in here, and this book for $10 that feels like a win. And again, these for $20 each. It's a win. We didn't overpay. We kind of underpaid. I think this one here, we paid exactly what it would go for anywhere. We would have found this book, exact same book condition in Vancouver. Maybe it goes for 20 Canadian dollars, which is like what, 15 US, somewhere around there. No, it'd be a lot less. Even 12 or $13. But might not have been a newsstand. And again, there's a lot of like variables and factors you kind of have to do. And now I have them now versus 3 weeks from now. And also, having picked these up now when I take up $300, I don't have to spend it on this stuff. I can spend it on other stuff. So that's good. Like even if we run into this book, I'll be like, I have that book. I don't need to pick it up now. So these are books, again, that we've been just wanting to add. So it's all good. Yeah, this Scott Leaves the Team cover is just, that's a big one right there. It's a big one. Iconic cover. I don't have to really, all of you understand how big these books are. And so, yeah. A little bit different from what we normally do. I'm usually focused on value, picking up like some volume, getting books under, trying to get the haul to like under $3 a book kind of mentality. But today, yeah, what is that? $110 for 9 books. That's almost $10 a book. It's $12. $12.20 a book, which is fine. It's fine because we've got big books here. We've got, that's a $12 book. These are definitely $12 books. This is the potential to be a $12 book. This is a $10 book that will probably stay a $10 book. That Signature is a $12 book for sure. This one, not a $12 book, but one we wanted to add. This is $20. So yeah, look, all in all, I think we got good value out of our haul. All right, well, that's it. I gotta grab some dinner now and kind of wind down, get ready for work. Again, next week, I know I told you this week would be the meager 50-cent bin haul where we just bring back like $5 to $10 worth of books. But next week is going to be that haul. So next week is going to be very meager. I expect the bare minimum. I might come back with like 3-4 books and spend like $2-3 or whatever. So don't expect much from next week's haul. And that's kind of where we're going to stay over the next 2 weeks until we go to Vancouver. So I'm not going to spend much next week. I will probably get supplies right before Vancouver. So order those, and those will be here either right before or as we get back from Vancouver. And what we were ordering is we just want to order more clear backing boards and sort of the Mylar type bags, and some more top loaders. So yeah, that's probably going to be a big chunk of, because now those things aren't cheap now. Like, I imagine I was going to spend like $140 just for the supplies. But when we get like 50 bags and boards of the nice stuff with the top loaders and all that, and depending on what we bring back down from Vancouver, it's just going to time it nicely to where we have a lot of books and we can move some of our bigger books into the nice holders. Yeah, like Batman here, right? That's a nice one. I like to get these in the clear backing boards and just have the set there, and I kind of, I guess, tag the set together along with my slab book. That'd be cool. This one, I think we could keep in this one, the Mylar. Maybe put another back cover here so that it seems like you can see the back cover and the front. Yeah. And then yeah, it'll just be a lot of organizing when we get back from Vancouver. So we'll have a lot of books. I'm sure most of them will be in bags and boards, maybe some in just bags or some raw, depending on what we pick up. But yeah, it'll just be a lot of organizing and doing things to get them looking nice, yeah, I'm feeling better and better about what we spent today. We went over budget this week, pretty much went over budget. But again, with the book the commission work that we're picking up, and with these books, I feel like it's okay. It's like we're having fun this summer. This was a very exemplary summer haul. We got the books we wanted, and yeah, that's that. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next one. So yeah, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.